What's going on, y'all? Hopefully everybody doing well. Hopefully everybody's having a great day, had a safe new year, and hopefully we're progressing into this new year. So I wanted to talk about a couple things, right? One, the video that I made the other day when I was speaking about the homeless man that was killed, that was shot 21 times. If you didn't see the video, check it. I just dropped it a couple days ago. One thing that I failed to touch on, which I should have, that was my bad. I slipped on that. These young boys that are ripping and running in the streets, or anybody for that matter, when we're doing all that dirt and running around getting money and having it our way, we never think of the consequences, right? And when I say we never think of the consequences, I don't mean like we know we're going to go to jail, right? Because we know that. We know that. What I mean is we don't know what we're going to face when we get to these places, right? So I'm going to start at the very beginning, and this is through my experiences. Times that I have been out on the streets getting money. And I had, just for instance, I'll explain this. After my mother died, I hit the streets full-fledged. And I was getting money. I was having it my way. And I made a lot of money. None of that meant anything when I went to jail, though. The cells are all the same size. You know what I'm saying? It didn't mean nothing that I had, had made hundreds of thousands of dollars. My cell was the same size as the guy who was living on the street. Let me repeat that. My cell was the same size as the guy who was sleeping on the street. Maybe I could go to commissary a little better, right? Maybe I could spend a little bit more money on commissary. But at the end of the day, we all have a limit on commissary. And that limit is $55. A couple times after spending that $55, you get tired of that. You get tired of buying that same old food. It's all junk food. Nothing is good for you. You get tired of that very quick, right? So let me just rewind. I get locked up. I get questioned. I get sent to the jail. I was on parole, so I couldn't make bail. I had no bail because I was on parole. When you're on parole, you can't make bail. They don't have no bail for you, no matter what you do, right? So all that money that I was getting meant nothing. That was the first phase of showing that money meant nothing to me. And then when I went in there, this is when I first started getting high. This is when my habit first started. I was sick. I was dope sick, just like the people that were sleeping on the streets, right? And that was a horrible experience. That was my first time ever being dope sick, ever going through withdrawal. Horrible. I stood up for, a month straight without any sleep. It was a horrible experience. That money didn't mean nothing. Dealing with everything that I have to deal with, that money might have helped me get a little better of a better lawyer, but I still went to the penitentiary, right? That money didn't mean I walked scot-free at all. So I paid the same exact consequences, right? I had to be around the same people as everybody else. That money didn't get me sent to a special block. The next door neighbor was the same dude. His cell smelled like a landfill. Basically, that money didn't change nothing. So I say this to say that we think, I'm going to have it my way. I'm going to get money. That money's going to solve all those problems. And it doesn't. In reality, it tends to add to those problems. Prior to me going to jail, I was paying people's mortgage. I had a family member. I used to keep a safe at their house with no drugs, just money. And I told them, as long as that safe is there, I'll pay your mortgage every month, right? So I paid that mortgage month after month after month. Even after I went to jail, I was still paying that mortgage. Now I ended up giving the combination to the safe to a family member. And it was the same family member that I was paying their rent or their mortgage. And you know what happened? Whatever money was in there, They ended up dipping into it little by little, little by little. Here it was gone, a little more, a little more, a little more. And you know what their justification was? Well, you're in jail. Why do you need all this money? Why do you need to have all this money if you're in jail? You can only spend $55 on commissary. You have a TV, you have your sneakers, you have your boots. So it led to me essentially losing a family member because of that. I had family members that, I had motorcycles, I had cars, I had all that stuff. We don't really think of the consequences, right? We don't realize, all right, I'm going to have to be in a county jail and I'm going to be locked in this cell all day long. The majority of county jails, they're locked down. Where I've experienced, they're very locked down, 23-1, maybe 22-2, something like that. But they're locked down. We don't think about that, right? We don't think that we're going to have to go through something just to get on the phone to call our family. Because back when I did time, and this is, I show my age, cell phones wasn't a big thing in jail at that time. Now it's a little different. I would have to end up going through something with somebody to get on the phone just to speak to my girl, right? We don't think about all that stuff. We don't think how the COs that are in there that are power tripping, that just got the job because they get to tell people what to do. We don't think about none of that. We don't think about how they're going to, the little rights and privileges that we do have, we don't think about how they're going to infringe upon that, right? We don't think how the way they're going to try to speak to us, right? We don't think how when we got a call and we're allowed to come out and use the phone and the COs are going to shut the phone off because they're having a bad day, right? We don't think about none of that stuff. We don't think how the COs are going to shut off the hot water, so all we got is cold water, right? And then when we get to the penitentiary, we don't think about everything that comes with that, right? We don't think that I can end up tacking on a whole nother case, losing my life, or becoming seriously hurt or put in a position to have to seriously hurt somebody else because somebody that I don't even know crossed the line with somebody else, right? And they might just happen to be Spanish. And anybody who's done time in places where the Spanish stick with the Spanish and the black, they're segregated. People don't realize that. Where you have a basketball court for the black guys, basketball court for the Spanish guys, basketball court for the white guys. Same thing with the softball fields. Same thing with the weight pile. This area is for the Spanish guys. This area is for the white guys. This area is for the black guys. It feels like the 40s or the 50s during segregation and the civil rights movement. You don't think about none of that, right? That some guy you don't even know, it's his first time coming in jail. He doesn't know how to do time. So he says something or does something that offends a black guy, right? And now you got somebody coming to you and telling you, yo, Frank, let me holler at you for a minute, right? This is somebody that holds status amongst the blacks. And he might come to me and be like, yo, I know dude's new on the compound, but he did X, Y, and Z or said X, Y, and Z. And we're hoping that you can address it, so we don't have to get into something. And then I'll ask him, all right, what happened? And he's going to explain to me exactly what happened, right? And then now I'm going to go and I'm going to speak to that young guy. And I'm going to talk to him and say, yo, come here a minute. What's going on? And a lot of times, it's very black and white in this aspect, where a lot of times when I go speak to that young guy, either he's going to have absolutely no idea of what he did, or he's just a knucklehead that doesn't understand nobody is bigger than the machine. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody's bigger than the program. And there's a lot of people like that. A lot of people don't realize, they come to jail for the first time and they don't realize this, or they're in the streets and they don't realize, like, look, this is what you're going to be subject to. You don't like people telling you what to do? Well, when you get to jail, that's all it is. And then now when I break it down to that young man and I tell him, all right, what's going on? And I hear his side. And if it's done completely out of arrogance, it doesn't matter. He still has consequences to pay. Because everybody's out here, we're getting our visits, we're making money. We're all living in that prison and trying to live as comfortable as we can, right? A lot of us got visits coming. We're talking to our family. We might have an appeal in. We might be short to go home. We might have a hustle. We might be getting money, get packages in. We might have a gambling table. We might have a sports ticket. These things produce a lot of money. And when we're in jail, that is pretty much priority number one. So we can't allow for this guy to just come in that has absolutely no idea the hierarchy or what he's dealing with, right? He might have heard about it in the county on the way to the penitentiary, but he fully doesn't know how it's going to be until he lands there in that yard. Because every single place that I've done time at, they're different. Some places are more strict, some places are a little more lenient. And these are stuff that you don't think of when you're on the street, right? When I was on the street ripping and running and getting all this money and, riding around in luxury cars and going on vacation and buying jewelry, I didn't think about this. I didn't think, in a couple months, you're going to be back on the yard, right? You're going to be having a hustle and some knucklehead is going to do something. And now you're going to be put in a position where you either have to have this knucklehead discipline or it's going to lead to something bigger, right? And by something bigger, I mean us going to war with somebody else because somebody that I don't even know his name, never seen him before, stepped out of line with somebody else, especially if he did it just out of ignorance, right? And believe me when I tell you this, that there are so many people that come to jail and just do not realize, look, we're in a whole different place. This isn't home. This is a whole different ball game. This is none of the stuff that we think about, right? We don't think about how our family's going to have to travel 5, 6, 7 hours one way to come visit us, right? And then how when they get there, our mother, our wife, our sister, they're going to be subject to some of the same securities that we are. They didn't do nothing wrong, right? The only thing they're guilty of is having a husband or a wife or a brother, a son, a family member who's in a penitentiary. That's the only thing they're guilty of. So they're going to have to take off their shoes. They're going to have to take off their belt. If they have underwire in their bra, they're not going to be able to wear that. If their pants have a little rip in them on the knee, they can't wear that. They're going to have to shop and buy their clothes according to the prison dress code rules. They're not going to be able to wear their earrings or their jewelry, right? And then you're going to get some of the guards that start hitting on the females, right? Start hitting on your wife or your mother or your sister. That's very commonplace. And then your family doesn't want to tell you because they be like, no, we can't tell him that. If we tell him, it's going to be something else. We can't tell him that because I know how he's going to react. But at the same time, they need to address it, We don't think that our girlfriend, our wife, is going to be messing around with one of our homies. We don't think that, right? And a lot of times that stuff is deserved because when the man was home, he wasn't worrying about her feelings. He was ripping and running the streets. He was cheating. He was doing everything but worrying about her feelings. And then now he gets locked up. And now it's all about her. In the streets, he didn't care, though, right? Or sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes it's a dude, he just might be a family man, and he gets locked up, and his homie. And this is the thing that, once again, we don't think of when we're locked up. He's going to tell his homie, yo, go over there so I could talk to you. Now it's a little different because of the cell phones, right? Before, it wasn't like that. He's going to tell his homie, yo, go to my house so I can speak to you, right? And they're going to be on the phone. That phone call lasts 15 minutes. And then this homie is going to linger in the house. Or he's going to stop by unannounced and say, oh, I just wanted to see how y'all was doing. You know, check on the baby. I know Frank's been locked up. How you doing? You all right? You need anything? No? Okay, I'm just making sure. You know, and then next time he's going to pop up again. And that's all they're doing is opening doors. You know, this is the stuff that we don't think about when we're ripping and running in the streets. We don't think about none of this. We don't think how we're going to have to go through those strip searches and everything else, right? And the jail's going to be locked down for a month because somebody got stabbed or somebody got cut. We don't think about none of this. All we think about is that instant gratification of ripping and running the streets, of getting that money, of going in at the end of the night and counting up and seeing how much money we made for the day, right? And then throwing it in a bag or throwing it in our safe. And then at the end of the week, adding it up, boom, 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 right? We don't think about that. I'll be the first to tell you that when I went to jail for the last time, in 2014, I went to jail for the last time. 2013. I went to jail for the last time, right? And this was after me doing 15 years already. I had to go back and do 2.5 more years. And that was the hardest 2.5 years of my entire life. Because I knew what I was dealing with, right? Because I thought about all that. Because when I caught that case, I was home and I was doing good. Me and Rachel had just got together and I was doing good. I was a family man. I just opened up my barbershop. I was living life as a man the same way I am now, right? And then I had an old case that popped up. My daughter's mom was jealous because I had gotten with Rachel. So she told me, she knew about something that I had done a couple years prior. And I got questioned, I got questioned about the cops numerous times. And they were missing, a couple key pieces. And she didn't have those necessary, she didn't know everything, but she knew enough. And she told me, she said, Frank, if you don't come home by Friday, I'm calling the cops and I'm letting them know everything. And at this time, I was already in love with Rachel. And even if I wasn't going back to her. That was absolutely not happening. She told me, she said, look, you don't come back by Friday, I'm calling the police. And I knew it. And I knew she would. I told Rachel, I had a conversation with Rachel, and I told Rachel, I said, look, I'm not doing it. I said, she gonna have to call the cops. And part of it was two reasons. One, I just wasn't going back with her. I had found Rachel and found everything that I looked for in a woman. I found in her. I found it in spades in her, right? And furthermore, it felt so good to know that, okay, if she does call the cops on me, that's it. There's nothing else that I have that anybody can hold against me that I've done in the past, that anybody could hold against me. That's it. That was the last thing. Because I had changed my life so drastic. I went from being a dude in the streets to a dude at home with his family, to a man at home with his family. So I was like, part of me was, to be honest, I didn't want to go back to jail, but part of me was like, if that's what it takes, so be it. At least I'll start off with a clean slate, and there is nothing that nobody can say, oh, I know you did this. It was almost like a game of extortion, that she was trying to play with me. She was like, you better come home. I said, nope. So then Thursday comes, Wednesday comes, and she said, I'm serious. I'm going to call the cops on Friday. I didn't respond to her. Then Thursday comes, and she messaged me like 3 or 4 times. And I remember, I think I might have even cursed her out. I said, I'm not going. I'm not going back with you. You know, that's not happening. So do what you need to do. Call the cops if that's what you need to do. If that makes you feel better, then do it. Just know that, yeah, you might hurt me. Yeah, you might hurt Rachel. Yeah, you might hurt the girls and my children, but you're also going to hurt your daughter. You don't think that's going to hurt your daughter from a father being in her life on a normal basis to now taking her father out of her life? You don't think that's going to hurt her? And it didn't. You know, she didn't care about that. All she cared about was inflicting pain on me and hopefully being able to break me and Rachel up. You know, obviously it didn't work. So thank you. You made us what we are today. Let me rephrase that. You helped to make us what we are today, right? So thank you. So listen, this is all the stuff we don't think about in the streets when we're in the streets ripping and running. Just know that if we have it our way for 6 months or a year or 2 years, for every year we're out in the streets getting money and doing things the way we want to do it, we're going to end up spending about 5 years for every year that we have fun. Every year that we have it our way, we're going to spend 5 years in the penitentiary having it their way. Trust me. And that is why I live the life that I live now. The only thing I have to worry about is maybe getting a letter in the mail saying I was speeding, you know, something like that. That's it. That's all I have to worry about. As long as nobody harms my family, I'm at peace. You're going to get the most peaceful person you know. Right? So I just felt compelled to share this. We all have somebody in our family that we know is throwing rocks at that penitentiary, right? They're just throwing rocks. They're doing one thing after another, one thing after another. And we can see their downfall about to come, right? And they might not see it themselves, but we can see it. Send this video to that person. I thank y'all for watching. Remember to be kind, loving, and patient. I thank y'all.